You know, having started to study psychology, I figured I'd have them all fixed because surely that's what I do for a living. I can't fix my husband, I can't fix anyone. And what I didn't realize that was in the process of trying to express to him what I thought were my emotional needs, he was perceiving that as a sign of failure and criticism.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding us, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Hi there, welcome to A Better Us, and welcome to our home. We're glad you're here.
Okay, so researchers show that one of the most contentious areas in marriage is communication. And one of the biggest factors in our communication with our spouse is our ability to truly listen.
Well, Dr. Mike will be on the beach, and he's going to help us all tune in on how to be great listeners.
I love how practical he is in giving us real-life scenarios to apply to our lives.
And then us guys need to listen carefully during the second half of this program, when we'll be hearing from the women only.
That's right. It's a segment we're calling Just Us Girls. And all of the women from A Better Us, from Diane to Danielle and Kara and myself, we're all going to be joined by Dr. Mary, a 25-year clinical psychologist, and we're going to talk about something most every woman can relate to: our emotional needs in marriage.
I know how much some people like talking about emotions.
Well, you guys had better listen closely because you just might learn something.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about.
And to listen to.
Right. As we're joined in the kitchen by CFL football great Mike Pinball Clemens and his wife Diane, and youth and children's pastors Eric and Kara Maines.
You're in the right place, so stay with us.
One of the most powerful things you can do to improve your marriage is to become an awesome listener. So building love and trust involves really listening to your spouse, which actually is not as easy as it sounds. Most people are really bad listeners. They really are. Most couples in counseling are really bad at listening. I see that the first session. I tell myself, I know exactly what we need to work on: listening. So asking the right questions, empathizing with your spouse, making someone feel understood, these are all skills that can dramatically increase intimacy emotionally in any relationship. So to help you learn to do this, I want to recommend that you periodically take your partner's emotional temperature. So essentially, when you're taking the emotional temperature of your spouse, you're asking, "Hey baby, how you doing? What's going on?" And you're not doing that to be polite. You're not doing that like a habit, like you see someone in the store, "Hey, how you doing?" You're actually asking because you want to know. You want to know how they're doing. That's the temperature test. So I want you to schedule this temperature test at least once a day at first, at least once a day. As you go forward and get better and better at this, you're going to find that it happens more naturally. It might happen 2 and 3 times a day. So to take your spouse's emotional temperature, you start with number 1, preparing yourself. You've got to prepare yourself to do this because it's going to require something different than what we normally give people in relationships. So as you prepare yourself, you want to shift your focus away from you. You want to postpone your agenda. It's not about being interesting. We spend way too much time in relationships trying to be interesting, trying to have something to say that someone's going to be interested in. Your job is to be genuinely interested in your spouse. You want to hear their pain, whatever it is, even if you don't agree with the details. By the way, you're probably never going to agree with the details. You want to be interested in whatever's going on inside of them, and you want to walk in their shoes for a little bit. You want to walk in what's going on inside of your spouse's head to the best of your ability. Number 2, you want to attune. You want to tune in. Your job is not to fix your spouse's problem. Your job is not to fix their emotion. As a matter of fact, if you try to fix what's going on with them, you're going to mess up the temperature test. You can't do that. You just want to tune into where they're at. How do you do that? Ask questions. You want to ask open-ended questions. Ask questions that can be answered with more than one word. A yes or a no is not going to suffice here. You want to say things like, tell me more about that. Tell me more about how you felt when she talked to you like that. How did you feel when our son said that? What was going on inside of you? Those kind of open-ended questions are really going to facilitate tons of information that you're going to get from your spouse. What you don't want to do is you don't want to give advice, you don't want to be judgmental, you don't want to be critical, you don't want to become a teacher and come in with all this awesome advice about how they should have handled it. Essentially, you're attuning to your spouse. Number 3, you want to reflect back what you've heard. A big part of listening is witnessing. You ever been in a church and someone's preaching and they say, "Can I get a witness?" You ever heard that? Anybody with me? That's what they're saying. Anybody in here with me? Well, look, your spouse needs to know that you're with them and that they're not alone. You need to become a witness. A powerful way to witness is to be there for your partner, to repeat back in your own words what you've heard them say. So, I hear that you're saying blank, and it makes sense to me that you would feel that way because blank. So, I hear that you're saying it gets worse at night and that you really miss the times when we used to go out and have Chinese food and a movie. And you know what? I do. I understand that. I miss those times too. And finally, don't offer suggestions. Don't solve problems. Don't give advice. Just be a witness. Let your partner know that you're with them. And I'm excited about this because once you start really listening, you're going to be surprised at how much trust and love you really start to build in your marriage.
Okay, well, Dr. Mike on the beach. Now, you guys, we're back in the kitchen, of course, with Mike and Diane and Eric and Kara. And the whole topic of communication in marriage, it might seem like Marriage 101, seriously. But we've been married 34 years now, and we still deal with that whole thing about listening. In fact, one of us in this couplehood deals with it a little more than the other one does.
Sorry, were you saying something, hon?
Exactly. See what I'm saying?
Well, it's a challenge sometimes because sometimes your mind can be somewhere else and she's talking, but that tuning in that he was talking about, I need to do a little better at. Tuning in.
It's something that we deal with no matter how long we've been married, really.
Yeah. I agree because, and two, I think, no offense, men, but I think women can multitask and listen and do something else at the same time.
Amen, sister.
Men, on the other hand, they have to focus in on one thing. So when I'm talking to my husband and if he's doing something, he hears nothing that I'm saying.
Yeah.
Zero.
We're focusing on excellence. There you go. Come on.
Okay, I'll take that.
I like excellence. That's good. I don't know, but you guys have been married that long. Is
we're
Eric
4 years
still?
in.
Is he still zoned into your every word, or?
Sometimes, but sometimes I find that I can totally relate to what Dr. Mike was saying about trying to push my agenda. So maybe I'm trying to figure out his emotional temperature, and then he opens up about something, and then I'm like, yes, we can talk about this. And then I try and push what I want to talk about, and he kind of shuts down. So I have to kind of take a step back and remember, no, it's about Eric and how is he feeling today. So
So it goes both ways.
yeah,
That's right.
It goes both
Definitely
ways. Yeah, but Mike, I mean, you communicate for a living. Now, come on.
So so there is something about well, the biggest thing is she communicates while I'm doing something, and as she mentioned before, and I am locked in, man. Whatever I'm doing there, I'm trying to be excellent at it. And so while I'm trying to be excellent at that, it's like distracted driving, right? They've proven that you can't, as much as you think you're multitasking, that you can't do more than one thing well at a time. That's right. Well, I need to react to my wife's voice a little bit better, though. I do need to respond to that better.
We have a lot of fun with this topic just because we are so different and because we still do struggle with it in marriage. But it really
She
is,
hit me very hard on
really
that.
is so funny. Gently.
Okay.
But it really is a serious topic because Dr. David Augsburger, he's a marriage research scientist. He has proven, he says this, I want to get this right. He said, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable.
Wow.
Being heard, knowing that you're being heard and that you are absolutely loved. They're so
And
close.
the Bible says, James 1:19, that we are to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. But that quick to listen is sometimes the challenge because we always want to, as you say, get our agenda out there first and to say, this is what, but actually to be slow to speak and quick to listen.
That's why I love what Dr. Mike said. It's because I don't think that I'm going to change when I'm watching the game. I think that I'm still going to be focused in there, right? And I'm going to be locked in. But he said just start with once a day, just taking that opportunity to lock it. Now for me, I like to eat. I like pictures, so I like to kind of think of it as wading in the water, right? So if we're wading in the water, so once a day I need to wade in the water, and so when we wade in the water, when you wade in the water, that means you actually have to get in. You have to be in there together, right? And water has this calming sort of influence on you. When you're wading in the water, you're not in a hurry. You're not running through the water. You're wading in water. So it's actually being patient with her. And as you go in, you delve in, you get a little deeper. And that means asking good questions. So when I hear her, right, it also means that I'm asking good questions, that there's a good response. And water, though, has a little bit of resistance to it, right? And the thing that I have to resist is giving an answer. She doesn't need a solution. She just needs me to wade in the water. Yes.
Can I get a right
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the big challenge for someone who considers himself a fixer-upper or a someone
he is Mr. Fix-It.
who likes to bring the solution right away, but she just wants to know that
I just want you to
I've
hear
heard
me.
and I've understood
that's it.
and
that
maybe
he gets it.
empathize.
That he gets it.
Yeah.
We
Nothing
just want to
else.
know
Yep.
that he gets it,
Yeah.
right?
And I also love when they say the best way to become a great listener is to learn the art of paraphrasing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you,
Well, that's
when
what
you
Mike
compare,
said, can I get a witness? Just speak
exactly. When you
back.
can paraphrase it and you've heard me, and that's good.
Yeah.
I must have gotten that Mr. Fix-It gene from you, Dad. Because early in our relationship, I would only listen to the first 3 or 4 seconds of what she's saying, and then I'm already processing, how am I going to fix this?
That's it,
Like,
yeah.
what am I going to say to her? But recently, and she told me that, she said, I've found that you are listening better these days because I've actually turned off that advice factor, and I'm actually listening to focusing on what she's saying. And so I feel that
That's awesome.
That's
That's
working.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. No, 4 years in, and I can check that one off the list.
So
I actually did that 2 days ago.
Well, I think God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, I think, and so do more listening than talking.
That makes
And
sense.
so good discussion, guys, and we better, guys, listen up really closely because in the next half of the program, we're going to be hearing from the girls, just the girls, and we got to tune into what they're going to be saying.
This is the only way they can get us to listen. They can give us a choice.
Check it out. Stay where you are
Yeah.
because this conversation is just the girls and it's going to be good. Yeah.
It's one thing to be emotionally expressive or emotional, and I would separate that from emotional needs, because 100% of us, every single one of us, including men, have emotional needs.
Absolutely.
But it's not always expressed in the same way.
Hey friends, Ron and Ann here. We're so glad you're with us at A Better Us, and we pray your marriage is blessed as you take this in.
Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and enjoy this video.
And now for something entirely different. It is time for Just Us Girls. I am surrounded by the girls of A Better Us. We're here. Lovely friends have opened up their home to us, and we are here to just enjoy some girl talk in the Just Us Girl time. And we're so glad you're part of this as well. Now, joining us on these segments, we've got Dr. Mary. Dr. Mary is a clinical psychologist with over 25 years. She's an author and she's a speaker too. Over 25 years of experience in counseling families, individuals, couples on some very personal, serious issues. And so we're glad you're with us.
I mean, hello, come hang out with some girlfriends.
You
for
know,
sure.
right?
And we can talk.
Exactly. So today we're going to be talking about emotional needs. Now, I think the guys, if they were here, they'd say, what? Emotional? No, those girls aren't emotional.
No.
Okay, when Ron and I were first married, okay, we've been married 1 year exactly, and somebody asked Ron, we've been married lots of years now, but somebody asked him then, okay, so what surprised you the most, you know, in your first year of marriage?
Right.
And I'll never forget his answer. He said, how emotional women are. I have no idea where he got that actually, because you know. But I guess we do have emotional needs, don't we?
It's different, and it's not always predictable. You know, if guys could be just given a roadmap, if you say this is what it means. These are the actions you want me to take. Give me a roadmap. I think I might be okay.
Right.
But that's not the way the Lord has wired us.
No.
We are emotional, and I don't mean emotional in a let it all hang out kind of a way, but we do feel things deeply. We have a deep level of sensitivity, and we make decisions. We feel led by the Lord through our emotions. And in all of our relationships, aside from the one with our Father, God, the relationship with our spouse is so key. And I have to admit, I don't know about you, I got married really young, and
I did too.
you know, having started to study psychology, I figured I'd have him all fixed, because surely that's what I do for a living. I can't fix my husband, I can't fix anyone. And what I didn't realize that was in the process of trying to express to him what I thought were my emotional needs, he was perceiving that as a sign of failure and criticism. So the more I tried to help him see, the more he would withdraw, because I'm telling him that he's not good enough. And that's not all my intent.
Right.
But sometimes in our desire to communicate that, we don't realize that we're actually shutting them down. So I don't know if, you know, you've been all married at different stages, some of you younger than others. Like, has anyone had that same experience when you first got married versus where you are now?
I know when we first got married, I'm very emotional. And even when I tell a story, if I'm trying to relate something to my husband, I just, and this happened. And he's like, okay, you're getting a little too emotional for me now. Like, calm down, just bring it back, right?
You're starting to scare me a little bit there, right?
Right? But I feel everything, right? And sometimes I find that I'm so emotional and he's just a wall sometimes, right? And it's like you have to have that balance between each other in order to be able to relate, right? So he's learned that I'm very emotional because we've been married over 25 years now. And I've learned that, you know, he just likes to sit back, take it in, and then he breaks it down, right? And then that way, you know, he can calm me down in the process, and then we're able to talk. Because men, I find, aren't as emotional as women are, period. They're just not.
Not in general. I think, though, if I can differentiate as we continue talking about emotions, it's one thing to be emotionally expressive or emotional, and I would separate that from emotional needs, because 100% of us, every single one of us, including men, have emotional needs.
Absolutely.
But it's not always expressed in the same way.
That's right.
So maybe, I don't know that you can comment about, you know, from an emotional needs standpoint, how has that communication gone with your husbands?
Yeah, you were saying earlier, Dr. Mary, that it sets them up for failure. And I think last season we were even talking about our emotional needs and how there are certain emotional needs that we have that can only be met by God. And we put them on this human, this well-meaning human, who's only one man, and they can't read our mind and know our deepest, darkest thoughts the way that God can. He doesn't want to sit for an hour and listen to me gab on the way a girlfriend can. And so we try to put that all on them, but really we need to spread that out between our girlfriends like this right now, which we're probably all going to be emotionally filled up after this in a way, you know. But to put that all on one man, we are setting them up to fail, you know. And I can I know for sure that's happened in our relationship.
And Eric and I have only been married for 4 years, but I've already seen how environment changes my emotional needs, or the different people in my life, the surroundings, the influences in my needs in my life. And it's really interesting. When we first got together, my needs were just different, and I handled it differently, and I was in a different environment, so I'd take it out in a different way, like spreading it out with girlfriends and talking about it. And then as we got older and we matured and we start to grow together, I find that my needs are that I need him to just kind of sit with me more and just kind of be there and be a presence there. He doesn't always have to fix it, but I just need him there to kind of help me, walk with me, and just cheer me on, even if he's not saying anything. Maybe it's just who he is. And I find that now I'm learning that I need to be more clear with him instead of putting these expectations on him that he can't meet or just won't, or that God can only meet. So
And you make a very clear, good point about he would want to fix it. And I think that that's the challenge between men and women. When we have emotional needs, we just want to be understood. We want them to be able to give us empathy, that I understand, I can feel your pain. Whereas men are like, oh, she's feeling something, gotta shut it down, we better fix it. And then in the trying to fix it, it feels like we're not being heard. It feels like you don't really understand our heart. I'm trying to do heart talk here, and you're busy like fixing something that's not even related to what I'm talking about. And that's a disconnect for a lot of couples. It's a very common one. There's a lot of humor around that, but at the same time it can be really, really hurtful. And especially if you come from a family background where your father may have been a little bit less available emotionally, then you can tend to idealize this is what true love ought to be like. I know my dad was busy, wasn't as available, but this is true love. True love is my husband will always be there for me. He'll get me, like we're connected. He'll get me. And then very early on, I don't know if you experienced that, Kara, within a very short period of time, it's like, oh, this is not at all what I thought marriage was going to be like.
absolutely.
And we put so much weight in the whole emotional connection as women. And if our husband doesn't know how to relate to us emotionally, doesn't know how to rise up to where we are, the level of emotion that we have, then we start to attach other needs to that and say, well, then he's not really going to meet my needs in other ways too, because the emotional connection isn't there, and I don't have that security need met, or I don't have that communication need met because emotionally I don't feel connected to him. And so really, we need to differentiate that and separate those and say, okay, well, emotionally, we might not be on the same level emotionally, but that doesn't mean that he's any less of a wonderful man that God has brought into my life, that we can work through these things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great example. So I'm a psychologist and I'm married to an engineer. So you can already imagine. And he's a phenomenal problem solver. And we've been married almost 30 years now. And what I've learned is sometimes have to say to him, I want heart talk versus head talk. So he knows heart talk, shut up, just nod a lot, and kind of look sad for me. That's right. That's right. And head talk, okay, she wants me to problem solve, and that helps. Just that level of clarity is really great.
I do too.
But when I go heart talk, if I don't give him a cue, he tells me it actually hurts him internally. His brain starts to want to explode, like warning signs. And he's like, I don't know where to go with this, and so he feels very alarmed as a result. So by doing that simple thing, that's really important. But the other thing too is I recognize the way he's wired, engineer, Asian guy, all of those things. He's just not wired to be as emotive as my girlfriends are. So I can then accept from him how he adores me, but it's not going to be because he can sit and listen deeply. In fact, he tells me it hurts his brain. But he can be just present, and he can just kind of go and do a little back rub on me, and we're good.
I love that heart talk and head talk because my husband, as a coach, he's used to solving problems, right? He's used to, telling these guys on the field, this is what you're supposed to do. And so when I approach him and want to have a conversation, sometimes I can't even finish my sentence, and he's already fixing the problem. And I'm like, can I just finish first? Just listen. All I want you to do is just be present.
That's right.
You don't even have to say one word. Like you were saying earlier, just be present.
And look
Let me speak and just feel my emotion. Just feel where I am right
Sometimes we just need to know they get it.
now. Mhm,
We don't need
Nothing
anything else. We just need that feedback where
That's
we say, okay, you get me.
Yeah,
Thank
you hear
you.
me. You
Thank
hear
you.
me.
And that's good.
Yeah, that's it.
We're
That's
good.
it.
Pressure off. I think often society, or when we flick on the television, a movie, they set our men up to fail too, because we're watching a romance film, a Hallmark channel, whatever it is, and they have lines prepared for them. They know how to act, and we just have men who love us so deeply, but they just can't
They don't have a
figure out
script.
the words. They don't
Yeah.
have a script.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
so
right.
just to take the pressure off, and maybe you don't have to say anything at all. Maybe you just are here with me, and that can just be a world of difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it doesn't matter how long you've been married. You know, I mean, like you guys have been married 4 years, and Danielle, you guys have been married 17, and you're 26,
26,
and
yeah.
you're
Almost 30.
almost 30, and we're
Wow,
34.
look at
It doesn't
that.
matter how long you've been married. It seems like this whole emotional connection is something that just comes up regularly and often. But what I love, Dr. Mary, that you do is you give us ways to think about it, to process it. Okay, you connect with them either heart or head, or you connect with girlfriends to have those other emotional needs met, or the bottom line, foundational, is you connect with God first.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
when
there's-
I am
he can
feeling
only-
my most vulnerable, there's really no one who can hold the enormity of it for me, and I just have to sit down before him and just bawl, journal, let him have it. And once I'm calmer, then comes the conversations with my husband or with friends, because I'm not like going over them, right?
God is always a safe place
Yeah.
to share your emotions, always a safe place to connect. And so we are so glad you joined us for this little Just Us Girls time here on A Better Us. Stay tuned, because there's more to come after this.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the show.
You know, our vision at A Better Us is to see every marriage become a loving union that creates a safe family haven, building a legacy of hope for future generations.
That's why we feel it's so important to invest in marriage relationships through producing a new episode of A Better Us every week.
Absolutely. If you feel as we do that marriages are worth investing in, then please consider joining us as a member of A Better Us with a monthly donation of $25.
You'll be making a big difference in lives and families, and we'll send you 2 of our special mugs, the mugs that you see our kitchen couples using each program.
Absolutely. And be sure to send us your mugshot selfie, and we'll post it on our Facebook page and on our website.
Simply visit abetterus.tv and click donate to set up your automatic monthly giving. And God bless you, and thank you so much for making this program possible and helping us strengthen marriages.
So we can all become a better us. On today's program, we've talked a lot.
And hopefully we've listened a lot too.
In marriage, listening to each other and being truly heard is directly linked to having a strong emotional connection, something I think we all want.
Absolutely. Really listening is so vital, but not always easy. Often our emotions or feelings can be a bit of a roller coaster ride up and down, disrupting that all-important connection and leaving us grasping for some kind of stability.
That's why a connection with God, first and foremost, is so needed. As we heard in today's program, God is always safe. He's the one you can open up to and unload your deepest concerns.
If you're not sure how to do that, we'd love to help you kickstart that conversation with God. You can call our prayer line. The telephone number is on the screen, and it's free and available 24/7.
Thanks again for stopping by. And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us.
Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
You can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.